What's up guys, and finally welcome back to another video. So I was going to talk about the debate, but I also have to talk about a major boost for the Trump campaign. President Trump has just received endorsement from around 70 former Republican national security and senior officials, which is how they write it themselves. This is a bunch of people that include senators, generals, governors, congressmen, and so on, and people that have held high-ranking positions in the administrations of Republican presidents dating back to the 70s. So I'm going to talk about this today, because I don't know if a lot of people noticed, because a lot of media did not cover it. I know Fox News covered it, that's how I got a hold of it, and it certainly should be a big boost for Trump, because this shows that he has the support of a lot of Republicans that are someone in the category that could suddenly support Biden, like Cindy McCain. So it's not like you can take these people's support for granted. So let's take a look at this. What they write, I'm not going to get too much into, but yeah, this is a list that includes a lot of high-ranking Republican officials. You have people like Rudy Giuliani, you have of course Richard Grenell, which of course was ambassador to Germany under President Trump. But there are also a lot of people that you can just not expect are going to support him. And I'm going to talk about the most important now in my mind. So let's get to it. First of all, we have Norm Coleman, who was the senator. He was the senator from Minnesota from 2003 until 2009. Of course, he had the famous recount with Al Franken. And by holding on to that recount and holding on with the court battles, he actually managed to prevent the Democrats from getting their supermajority in 2009 until the summer. So he was, of course, a Republican, the last Republican to be a U.S. senator from Minnesota. So I definitely think that his support matters. He's not a Trump Republican. He was in the Senate during the years of George Bush, and he was a part in securing the majority in the 2002 elections. Next we have Jim Demint. Now he is maybe more known because he has been longer in the Senate. He was first elected in 2004 in what was a huge Republican Senate sweep of the South. They won seats in not only South Carolina, where he is from, but in Louisiana, in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina, and South Dakota, which is not in the South. He, of course, is the predecessor of Tim Scott. He resigned to take some job in South Carolina, and Tim Scott replaced him. He was known to be a very conservative, so I guess you should not be surprised that he is endorsing Trump. But his endorsement is important nevertheless. Now, Tim Hutchinson, he was the senator from Arkansas, I believe. He was first elected in 1996 and then defeated in 2000, so he sat for one term. He was defeated by Mark Pryor, who was again defeated 12 years later by Tom Cotton. He is the brother of Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, which was, of course, first elected in 2014. And he is another one of the very conservative Republicans of the past, who is not a Trump Republican, but still quite significantly to the right. I mean, he voted for impeaching Bill Clinton, who was actually the president and former governor of his home state, and certainly another significant supporter for President Trump's re-election. Now here we have maybe the biggest heavy hitter of them all, Pete Wilson. He was the governor of California from 1991 to 1999. Before that he was the senator for 8 years, from 83 to 91, and before that he was the mayor of San Diego. Now I actually do know a lot about him. I know that he's actually supported Ted Cruz in the primaries in 2016 and then came around and supported Trump quite reluctantly because he had no idea what he could expect. He knew that Cruz was a proven conservative that would put conservative or originalist judges on the court. He did not know that much about Trump, but of course he was not very disappointed when Trump eventually nominated people like Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. He was the last Republican ever to be elected senator from California, and you can say he was the last real Republican, the last real conservative to be elected governor, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was after him again, after Gray Davis, he was not really conservative. He was quite liberal and moderate. So Definitely, I would say that Pete Wilson's support is important, though I think that at this point most people have made up their minds and that even his big heavy hitter endorsement is not going to change much in the general election. Now, I also want to talk about Jim Talent. Jim Talent was a senator from Missouri for actually a quite short time. He was first elected in 2002 in a special election following the death of Mel Carnahan. He defeated his widow, John Carnahan, and eventually lost to Claire McCaskill in 2006, so his Senate seat is that currently occupied by Josh Hawley. I don't know if there is much more to say about him. And also we have Haley Barbour, the governor of Mississippi a few years back. He's probably someone that you could expect would endorse Trump. I mean, he is certainly very conservative. He represents one of the most conservative states in the South, and there's no big surprise that he endorses Trump. And then honorable mentions. I was going to mention these. They're not senators, they're not governors, but they are actually quite high-ranking or quite famous congressmen. First, you have Pete Sessions, who was ranked probably the most conservative congressman in the last Congress. Of course, he was defeated for re-election. He is going to come back because he has been nominated in the very Republican district in Texas. So he will be back in January. Also, we have Randy Forbes, which of course is the guy that represented Virginia for a while, back in the days. They both endorsed Trump. So, of course, there is a lot of people I did not mention on this list. There is a lot of national security advisors, a lot of generals, and they deserve their own segment, but I don't have that much time. I have a quite busy day with my studies, so I'm not going to talk much more about this now, but this is very significant. Trump has a massive support base among former Republican officials, which could give him a big boost in front of the 2020 election. Anyway, that's all I had for you guys today. Please like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.